Over the past few weeks, I've been playtesting this deck idea that I had, and so far, it's showing a lot of potential. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome if you're new here. I'm Don, and today we'll be taking a look at Dracotail Nekroz. Let's get into it. As per usual, let's have a brief overview of the general idea that we're working with. So, Dracotail Nekroz, it's pretty much a Spellcasters Dragon toolbox deck that makes use of the fact that a few of our extra deck monsters specifically requires the use of Spellcasters and Dragon monsters. And seeing that the Nekroz archetype is primarily comprised of Spellcasters, Dragons, and Warrior monsters, this works along well with what the deck is trying to achieve, along with the fact that the new Nekroz support has now shifted the archetype into becoming more of a Spellcaster engine that bridges you to rank 4 plays, link plays, and even ritual plays. So paired with the Dracotail, it pretty much creates a deck that has a variety of options to work with. And let's say if you're faced with challenges like the barriers or anything that will try to stop you from fusing or even summoning your rituals, you still have access to other forms of plays like link summoning or XC summon. Alright, so let's have a look at a few notable cards in the deck. So the first card on the list, seeing that we have access to rank 4s, Infernal Flame Banshee, and that's pretty much getting into Nemesis Flag. And usually you'd be searching the Protoss from the Nemesis Flag, but in this deck you'll be searching the Yugioh. And that's mainly because the Yugioh works well with the theme of the deck, being that it's a dragon monster. And seeing that your Nekroz engine naturally goes through 3 different types, it is far easier to summon in this deck than Protoss. Unless you'd want to be banishing your Dracotail cards, then have at it. The idea is that most of the times your Dracotail fusions will be banished once they're summoned back from the grave using their effect, so you'd always have fuel for your flag either early game or mid game. So this is pretty much another form of recycling your fusion monsters other than using the trap cards. The next card would also be an Xyz, and that will be Magista's Goddess Ninaruru. It's a rank 4 monster that specifically requires 2 spellcasters, and it has the effect to detach a material, then target 1 level 4 or higher spellcaster monster in your graveyard, and then add it back to your hand. So if you don't already see the lines, this is pretty much another way to recycle your 5 mana. Let's say Urgla is not in rotation, or you'd want to use the 5 mana effect, but it's already in the grave and you don't want to waste your Urgla that early. You can always make this card if you have 2 4s on the field, that's spellcasters, and then add back the 5 mana to the hand. And when the Ninaruru uses its effect, it's not like it's a dead card on the field. You can then use it as a fusion material along with another extra deck monster to then summon the new Zorua fusion. And once the Ninaruru is in the grave, you can just use Zorua to equip it to himself. And once Ninaruru is an equipped card, it gives the monster pretty much 2 effects. The first effect is that while it's equipped to the monster can attack 2 monsters per battle phase. And the second effect, while it's equipped, is that you can target 1 Magista's card in your spell and trap zone and 1 spell or trap card that your opponent controls and then destroy them. The next notable card would be Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. You'd mainly be seeing this card in like the Azamina Dracotail build, but this works generically with any spellcaster build of the deck. As long as you control a spellcaster, fiend, or illusion monster, you have access to 2 powerful effects on a quick play spell. And the first one is you can special summon another fiend, illusion, or spellcaster monster from your hand, which if you already have Avens on the field, you can always special summon a Lucius or even another 4 on the board. Let's say you have the Amelia in hand, you can always do that because some plays you won't be special summoning the Amelia from the deck with the Aven. The second effect is that you can fusion summon a monster from your extra deck using monsters in your hand or on the field. I wouldn't recommend playing more than 2 though, because you wouldn't want to be bricking on spell cards. This deck really likes having more monsters and spells, so our spell trap count is pretty much at 12. Alright, so let's have a look at a few things that the deck can do. Generally, Avens or Burnak is pretty much a 1-card seals, and that with any monster in hand is leading to your Dracotail engine. But this is what you can do if you have both Burnak and Avens in hand. Alright, so you have a bounce with the seals, and once the seals distributed, you can special summon the Molulu from the deck. And seeing that you added back a monster to the hand, you now have a monster to fuse with the Molulu to go into Artalion. You also have a negate with the Red Bear. You can tribute itself or any other monster that you have. Right, so this is another combo that you can do when you have these two cards in the hand, and it's a way to show you that you don't really have to go directly into seals. You can always do this play in order to buy more time to draw into the cards that you want. Unlike before, where we tributed the Exa and then we'll add the Catastor, you can also make use of the fact that Exa, similar to most of the older Nekroz, they have two effects, one when they're tributed and one when they're banished. And its effect that when it's banished, you can special summon another Nekroz monster from your banish. So making use of Eschato's condition to banish 3 different types, you can always banish Exa, which is a dragon, the Burnat, which is a warrior, and the Avenge, which is a spellcaster. And once you tribute the Avenge, you can just add back all of those cards. And then once that is set up, you can pretty much turn the Eschatos into any type that you want with the Reprodokus and then call that type. And that is pretty much oppressive enough to lock down almost any deck that is monotype. So if you're going up against decks like Yummy or even like a Fiendsmith oriented deck, then you're pretty much in a winning position until you draw like more Dracotail cards. Alright, so these may not be one card combos, but this is pretty much showcasing what the cards that I mentioned really do in the deck, what they do for the deck. So this is the Sinful Spores of the White Forest. So let's have a look at it. So as you can see, instead of using its effect to directly summon the Lucius, we just use its effect to fusion summon using the dragon monster that we summoned from the deck with the Avens. And this is why Avens is pretty important in this deck, because it gets you directly to any material that you might need to summon, let's say, your Secretarian. And once the Secretarian is there, you can always recycle the monster back into the deck and then summon either the Spellcaster or the dragon monster that you'd want from the graveyard. And since Lucius was used as a fusion material, you can then set a Dracotail card from the deck to the field. Alright, so you pretty much use your Artalion's effect to reset the Secretarian, because in this deck, Secretarian is really important because it's what really recycles and gets you more summons than you usually would. Because one person will look at the deck and say that, oh, you have a lot of normal summons, but the only real normal summon that you have is the Avens, because your Emilia, it doesn't have a problem to be special summon, and the Lucas, it doesn't really have a problem to be special summon. So the only monster that gains its effect on normal summon is really Avens. So if you can normal summon Avens, you would, but if you can't, like let's say you're going into a board and you have something like a Molulu, then it's best to just normal summon the Molulu and try to use its effect. But if you open cards like Sinful Spores of the White Forest, then opening with normal summon Avens isn't necessarily bad, because if it gets Ash or if it gets Veiler or Imperm, you can always use the Sinful Spore as a form of extender. If you made it this far in the video, remember you can leave a like, that'll be appreciated. If you want to see more videos from me, you can check out my channel. Then if you want to see more videos from me in the future, you can always subscribe to the channel. Let's say you didn't open Avens. You have Emilia and you have either a dragon or any other card in your hand. To be honest, it doesn't really have to be Exa, as long as you have any one of your Dracotail cards to do something with. Alright, so you specifically sent the 5 mana because once you send the 5 mana to the grave and you add it back to the hand, you won't be able to use this effect to set anything when it's used because it will be discarding itself. So you fuse the 5 mana using the Raho, so you can set the Ketu, and now you're going to add the Lucius. Alright, so if you didn't have a dragon monster in hand, then you just return the Altarian back to the extra deck to summon the Lucius. And you might be wondering, why did we summon the Lucius instead of the Emilia? And that's simply because it also leads you to the exact materials to summon the Red Bear from the Banish. And that's really good for us because it gets you to exactly what you want, having Urgla in the grave to recycle the 5 mana to the hand. So a 4 and a 6 gets you to the 10, which is the Red Bear, and now you'd have the 5 mana in the hand in the end phase along with Dracotail Flame to negate a spell and then potentially draw you a Dracotail monster. Alright, so that's pretty much it for today, guys, and see you guys next time.